Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is really how to regain perspective after you have sort of gone no contact, or you're sort of figuring out what is going on between a relationship with you and another person. It could be a significant other, it could be someone at the workplace, someone at your community, but either way, you're experiencing difficulty, confusion, a sense of agitation because of negative emotions, fear, anxiety, guilt, obligation, apathy. All sorts of negative emotions will run as you're trying to sort of break free, separate, and really individuate after you've been through a relationship with a malignant narcissist, someone who is very manipulative, controlling, toxic, perhaps someone without conscience, like we see with a psychopath. Not only do they not have a conscience, it's literally and figuratively they have structural differences. So, oftentimes you will find that the relationships will cause a loss of perspective. You become enmeshed. The lines get blurred where, your energy ends and they begin, becomes fused. And it's so oftentimes very difficult for people to have the power to feel that they can differentiate themselves and identify their I am with the positive. That is so very important to getting a perspective. Because really these aberrant behaviors, the abnormal mindset of someone who is a malignant narcissist or psychopathic, someone with a pathological sense of self-importance and a lack of empathy, so they don't feel remorse, guilt, they don't really connect with others on an emotional level. It might be intellectual, it might be cerebral, but oftentimes there is a real disconnect. And because of that, a loss of perspective of self. It becomes sort of drawn out of the emotional body and lacks a center, lacks a focus, lacks an alignment with your values. And so one thing I encourage you to review today is that of remembering, that of memory for yourself, to get perspective. Once upon a time when you were younger, there was probably something that you really admired. A person, a place, a thing, a movement, a philosophy, a religion, an individual. Oftentimes people are raised, and then in their youth, they will then have something that really jumps out at them, someone who they really resonate with or gravitate towards. And so to get perspective, you have to look at the uniqueness of yourself and your position as it remains to be autonomous and out of reach of the manipulation of a malignant narcissist or a psychopath. So you have to realize that you have to get some space and understand basically your I am as it differentiates, as different and separate and distinct from the I am of a malignant narcissist or a psychopath, who oftentimes will manipulate and control through the erosion of one's identity. Their I am, who they are as a person, who they call me. This is me. Everything, my heart, my mind, what I have been through, what I've seen, what I've experienced. You have a lot of truth. You've got a lot of witnessing, that, and especially when we talk about gaining perspective so that you can hold your own. That is really one of the ultimate goals, I would say, of healing, and sort of the lessons learned that are provoked once you're in a relationship with this sort of difficulty, someone with lacking a conscience, and then, just, having you suffer, not giving you a hand to connect with. So one of the important aspects of perspective, which means, I would say to help that, to get there, I am, is there someone in your past? If you can just go through, the day today and just try to remember the early calling you experienced as a child. What was it that you really gravitated to? Did you have someone you looked up to? For myself, Helen Keller was always a big motivator to me. Helen Keller was a lecturer, an author, a political activist, and she was a wonderful orator and did a lot of great speaking engagements, even though she was blind and she was, had no hearing and no ability to speak. She learned sign language, just without being able to see, without being able to hear, without being able to speak, and was able to be one of the greatest orators of our time. So think about, so that's personal to me. I mean, that to me is magnificent, that the triumph of the human spirit is awesome. The triumph of the human spirit is awesome. So, if you are surrounding yourself with a lot of negative images right now, a lot of negative I am, feeling disempowered, helpless, feeling that, just things are getting so out of hand, what we call the engineered chaos. We talk about this earlier on the channel as really, a topic of manipulation of a psychopath. They just engineer chaos, and it becomes very difficult to get alignment and center and have concerted action in one direction. So, we need to back away from the chaos and get the perspective and really search yourself so you don't feel just so alone. But what did you feel earlier in your life? Was there a movement, an individual, a class you took? Even through like your first, 0 through 7 for you, 0 through 10, was there anyone that really, and what can you remember and go, oh yeah, you know what? Peace and harmony, that was something that really was definitive for me. That was really part of my, upbringing, that I had a poster in my bedroom, or I, something that you had. Take some time to remember and just allow, your subconscious to, give you some messages, give you some memories or recollection, which can give you perspective sort of before, it's just like pre-abuse, pre-neglect, just sort of, you can kind of get back to your I am. And that really resonates as truth with you. So because a lot of people, it's very difficult to maybe find this in your later years, so it will help you to kind of revive your I am. And make a list of these, 1 through 10, 1 through 20. Who are some people who you really wanted to emulate? Or you go, awesome, man, that person was phenomenal. Maybe they were, a sportscaster calling a game. Maybe there were, an activist. Maybe there was a religious figure. Maybe there was a place, or a sacred place. What is sacred to you? I mean, you might not know the answer now, but if you can ask yourself, what is sacred to me? Begin to ask yourself some more of these open-ended questions so you can become better connected to yourself. That will help you to give perspective and develop a positive or, self-oratory, positive self-talk. And then that will help you to feel better and get perspective. And realize that your perspective comes from a position of peace. Coming from a position of peace, not of pressure, not of fear, not of animosity, not of hostility, but out of peace. So when we talk about, there's a lot of, I think, of our viewers have talked about, there's other YouTubers that, talk about and being angry with a narcissist. And this is sort of like their jet fuel. So you have to look at that. To what degree are you allowing, a negative jet fuel for you emotionally? And I encourage you to reevaluate that and then have it grounded and anchored in the positive. Something that is peaceful. Something that is, something that you can't be stripped of or cannot remove from your I am. And that this is unique to you. And this is a differentiator. This is part of your individuality. And oftentimes, it'll help you to feel that you're back on track and then give you a vision to, incorporate moving forward. That you say, you know what? That to me is amazing. So I think it's very important, and I talk about in the book that I'm working on, to have a mentor, someone you look up to, a spiritual support, philosophical support, something that you can connect with, new perspectives, people who you look up to and admire. Who you surround yourself with will definitely help to dictate, how far you go. So if you're surrounding yourself with downers, negative, agitators, people who are constantly criticizing, condemning, and giving you a hard time. We spoke about this yesterday, things just that are making life you know, just very imbalanced, and really it becomes difficult for people to have an ownership in I am and to be empowered. I am empowered. If you can make that statement and just repeat it over and over again, you'll groom your emotional body to become that. So you have to go with this with repetition and experience, and ask yourself, what would someone who is empowered do? What would my mentor do? And then you can ask yourself this question and then reprogram, recondition your attitude, your mindset, your values. So you have kind of like your own marching orders. Once you own that, you own it. And that's what I call your internal real estate, your I am. So important that you protect, cultivate, and nurture that I am. It's so significant when you talk about getting perspective on relationships. And I think it's hurtful a lot of people because you don't want to say that I have to be in a space of judgment in order to heal. So lambasting, speaking negatively, sure, you have legitimate anger. You have absolute reason to be upset. But yet, if you can disconnect and say, I have legitimate anger and I am fueled by the vision of the positive future, then you need to really work on that and have a connection from your present day and to detach from the body-mind experience that was cultivated for you, that identity that perhaps was very weak. Your identity became weakened by this relationship versus stronger. So you need to pick up, the baton and say, I am empowered. I am empowered, meaning, the responsibility is passed on to you. And I encourage you to accept the challenge. I am empowered. I am empowered. And develop that positive self-belief. And then you'll be able to sort of break free, like that liftoff rocket we were talking about yesterday, where you're going places. You have a trajectory and a direction where you're going somewhere and you're keeping your eye on the prize. Do this and you will find that it's very difficult to simultaneously heal and re-injure yourself. So really err on the side of caution and live the empowered vision for yourself, your I am. Really, really embrace that and really cultivate it and really fall in love with that I am. That connection that you feel in life when you go, man, this is what it's all about. What is that statement for you? What is it all about for you? You might have a number of statements, but you must own this. This will help you to become empowered and impassioned and really help to surrender to the good that's trying to make its way into your life. This is your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate. And please support each other. I'm so happy that, you need to be able to have a support system. And that's the goal of this channel. Psychopathy, emotional abuse, covert narcissism, all these deleterious, negative impacts that you need to sort through and move through successfully. Let's go. Let's do this. Come on now. This is this is serious, and your I am is strong. I am strong. It's your buddy. Let's go.